Hi everyone, welcome back to Adam's Fishing. It's great to be out here, but I've been rather unlucky. It's the middle of October, we've had some shocking weather, lots and lots of rain, and the temperature's really dropped as well. I've been really busy lately, haven't managed to get out fishing a lot at all, I'm afraid. So this morning, when I looked out on bright, glorious sunshine, I thought, wow, what better evening to go out than this Friday evening and have a go at catching some carp. Unfortunately, just as I was loading the car up, the clouds rolled in and the rain started. Isn't it always the way? And it's been pretty much consistently raining the whole drive here, and it'll probably be raining for the whole session. I've got really bad luck with rain and fishing. Happens almost every time, but it's not putting me off. I'm dead excited to get down to the lake and start fishing. I've come to one of my sort of banker lakes, if you like, in terms of the potential for actually catching a fish. I'm sure you've seen me fish here before. There's nothing huge in the lake, but it's still a great place to come and pit your wits against the carp and try and get a bend in the rod. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my gear, get down to the lake, and then start fishing. I'll see you down there. There's this little swim here. It's one of the first swims that you come to as you walk down. Excuse the background noise, doing some tree felling or something back there. It's one of the first swims that you come to on the lake. But I did see a swell down here, so I thought I'd just stop for a minute, put my bags down, have a little walk down there and watch the water for just a moment. Let's see what we can see. Sorry if you've got shaky camera, just going down some steps here. Nice looking little swim here. It's the narrower end of the lake, so you don't have as much water to go at. But I did see a swell just down where I'm pointing here, just in front of this overhanging tree. So I'm just going to spend a few minutes here just watching the lake. The good thing is if I stand on the platform there, I can look out and I can see pretty much the whole lake from here anyway, so it's not a bad spot to start looking. Good thing about this swim, if I were to choose it, is I've got a canopy of trees above me, which might just stop me from getting so wet. Although that said, every time the wind blows, a barrage of drops falls down, so it's probably 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. So here's the lake in almost all of its glory. You can't see all of it from here, but you can see almost to the end of the lake. Brilliant to be here, that's for sure. Alright guys, I didn't end up going for that first swim that I looked at. I stayed there for sort of 5 minutes and I wasn't really feeling it. I believe that's the shallower end of the lake, and because of all of those trees overhanging, I suspect there's quite a lot of chod on the bottom, because it's just that time of year, isn't it? So if you look behind me, that's the swim that I've gone for. It's about halfway down the lake. It's got a little bit more water to go at. I haven't fished this swim before, so it's something a little bit different, which is great. And after doing a whole lap of the lake, I just felt that this was my best bet. Haven't seen a lot at all really. In fact, this is the only swim that I saw any signs of activity at all, and that was just a patch of bubbles roughly in the middle of the pond in front of me here, and even they have disappeared now, but at least it was something. So I'm going to get set up, get ready to start fishing. Okay guys, well, keeping it pretty simple today, just fishing from the rucksack, as I'm sure you saw from when I was getting out of the car and walking down here. First thing I did was sort out the bank sticks, then I got the rods out of the bag and I've put them on the bank sticks, but they're not fishing yet, they're not ready to go. I've got a bit more work to do first. I keep my rods ready made up, as you'll have seen before. I use rod bands to hold them together neatly inside my holdall there, my rod holdall. But what I would say is, if you do that, if you keep your rods made up all the time like I do, every now and then just check things, check your knots, check your line, and make sure that it hasn't deteriorated and that it's going to stand up to that critical moment when you've got a big fish on. I've checked mine fairly recently. In fact, what I do from time to time is cut the whole lot off, strip off some line and retie everything, just so that I know and I've got that confidence that everything's just so. The next thing I'm going to do is, apologies for the background noise, I've got some tree work going on over there on the other side of the lake, banging and crashing around. There's also some work going on with a great big digger in the field behind me. It's not exactly the most peaceful spot today. Still lovely to be out here though, I must say. I'm going to, as I said, I'm going to clip on some leads and I'm just going to get my distance sorted so that I know where I'm going to be fishing. The only place I've seen any signs of activity is middle of the lake, i.e. equidistant from me to the other bank opposite me. And I've seen another patch of bubbles there. Just after I was putting the bank sticks in, I saw some, which makes me think or hope that there was something rooting around down there, hopefully a big carp. So that's where I'm going to be aiming for to start with anyway. I'm already regretting the decision not to bring a shelter with me. The drizzle has been pretty persistent, I'm sorry to say. Still, I don't think anything's going to put me off today. I want to get these leads on, have a couple of casts. I'll show you down here in the rucksack. I've got to say, I love this rucksack. I'm not selling them or anything like that, but it's a good bit of kit. It's a Sabre 90-litre rucksack, and it just seems to have a compartment for absolutely everything. There's my little NGT tackle box there. And I'm just going to grab a couple of leads there. 2.5 ounce pair leads, actually also NGT. Right, going to pop these onto the leg clips and have a couple of casts just to get where I'm going to be fishing sorted out, and then I'll use some marker elastic to mark my main line so that I know my distance is going to be accurate each time I clip up and cast. Alright guys, as I've got my marker elastic sorted on this rod, and I'm actually going to fish both rods to the same spot, middle of the pond, I figured why create more disturbance by casting the other one out there. It took me a couple of casts to get this one just about the distance that I wanted and to feel the lead down with a nice thump. So I'm not going to cast again with my other rod. As I've got the whole lake to myself, I'm going to flick this rig, or this lead out in front of me, and then I'm just going to walk out the second rod to exactly the same distance. Okay, that's hit the clip now, so I'm going to get the other rod, put it next to this one, and then walk out the lead to the distance that I want it. So there we have it, pretty much exactly the same distance. Both of those rods will be casting this time. I'm just going to use a little bit of this marker elastic and this pair of scissors to mark that line as well, and I'm good to go. I was so keen to come today that in my lunch break I pre-baited the rigs and threaded on these mesh PVA bags with some crumb in, so that all I have to do really is clip them on and cast them out, not before giving them a good dose of this stinky glug stuff, though I'll do that as well. So let's get these clipped on, let's get them cast out, and let's actually start fishing. Once the rigs are in place, I'll grab the catapult and I'll put out some free offerings as well, try and entice a few more fish into the area, hopefully. I guess we are middle of October now, so I don't want to go nuts with the bait. I'll sort of put a little bit in and then play it by ear, I suppose. Anyway, let's get some rigs in, let's get fishing. That's one in. Let's get the second one out as well. That's two on the dance floor, as they say. I think I'm going to polt a little bit of bait in. As I say, not go mad with the bait, but put a bit in, a few handfuls perhaps. And then get my little stool out of the bag, kick back, have a bit of a rest. I've got some bait left over here from when I last went fishing on one of the other club waters, one of the bigger lakes with some bigger fish in, where I was lucky enough to catch one on that session actually. I soaked a load of my krill flavoured boilies in some krill flavoured liquid and water, and I soaked them for about 24 hours before the session. I didn't use half as many boilies as I expected to on the session actually, so all of these, which is, well, I'd say well over a kilo, were left over. So I didn't want to just leave them in liquid or leave them damp in the shed until I next needed some baits, because I'm pretty sure they would have gone a bit manky. So what I did was stuck them in the freezer, much to my wife's disgust, because they were taking up quite a lot of space in our little freezer. But finally I took them out. When did I take them out? Yesterday evening, just to thaw out, and now they're all ready for use. They're really lovely and soft. They smell really pungent, and I think they've ended up just being some really nice baits. I don't think there's been any harm come to them from freezing them and defrosting them this one time. So that's what I'm going to be using as my free offerings. I'm going to use my little catapult and send some of those into the water. Unfortunately, my old faithful Drennan boilie pulp kicked the bucket. Elastic snapped and I couldn't get a replacement for it, unfortunately, or I haven't been able to yet. So in the meantime I've got this, I think it's a Codex catapult. It's a lot flimsier than my old one, if I'm honest with you, but I have tried it out. It does work. Can't get as many boilies in the pouch as I could with the Drennan boilie pulp, but it's good enough. It'll get some baits in the water roughly where my rigs are, and that's what it's all about. I wish this machinery in the background would shut up. Still, as I said before, I'm not complaining. Let's get some baits in there. Well, I'm fishing at last. The noise in the fields is starting to abate. Maybe the workers are going to be knocking it on the head soon. I do hope so. It's actually stopped raining and the last rays of sunshine are hitting me at the moment, so that is absolutely brilliant. As for what's been going on over the last few weeks, not a huge amount of fishing. You would have seen I've got a couple of short sessions, very short sessions in, late evening sessions that only lasted a few hours down the quiet lake. But in that case, perseverance did really pay off, because eventually I caught a fish, and it was on a different sort of rig as well. It was on my second generation Ronnie rig, which is a little bit more streamlined than the first one. I don't know if it looking better really had any difference or not, but it was the right rig at the right time and it got me that fish, and I was absolutely chuffed with that. Chuffed to bits, in fact, because it was a hard-won fish, that's for sure. As for the rest of my time, I've been decorating, unfortunately. I say unfortunately because it's a job that I really don't like doing. It's my daughter's bedroom. We're doing it as part of her 10th birthday present. So yeah, I've been hard at work trying to get that up to scratch for her. Not a great deal left to do, but I haven't quite finished yet. I've got to do all of the annoying glossing bits, you know, the bright white round the skirting boards and the architrave of the door and all of that stuff. And I hate that job, but I really do need to get that done over the weekend. As for now, it's great to be having a break from it, to be honest. Absolutely lovely to be out here. There's a fresh breeze. It's not too cold yet. I'm sure as soon as the sun goes down, and that won't be too long, it's going to get very, very cold very, very quickly, because it is the middle of October and the temperature in the evenings definitely has been significantly lower lately. You can feel it. So I've got a nice big thick winter coat with me for when the sun does disappear. But as for now, I'm going to enjoy the relatively mild conditions. Just keeping everything crossed that one of these rods zips off any time now. Been fishing for about an hour now, and I hadn't had any indication that there were fish in the area at all, except for a couple of minutes ago when my left hand bobbin just pulled up a couple of inches and then settled back down again, which I suggest was some sort of movement in the swim near where my bait is. Hopefully carp related. The sun's just dipping down, but I can see the sun. The cloud has parted, the rain has stopped. It's a miracle. Brought myself a flask of coffee today. Didn't want to carry water and a kettle and the brew kit, just because it was extra weight really. This little flask that my wife and girls got me for one of my birthday presents a few years ago does just perfectly. It just slots in the side of the bag. It's almost like it was made to fit. So, nice cup of coffee, sun on my back, and you might be able to hear the birds singing now, because I think the workmen have knocked it on the head for the day and left me in peace. Beautiful. Well, I'm only an hour and 45 minutes into my session, and as much as it pains me, because I hate to do it because it's always a real hassle, I think I'm going to move. A little bit further down, the lake has the sun on it. Now that the clouds have parted, you know, I can actually see where the sun is hitting the lake, and it's down that end, and it just feels altogether more comfortable down there, not just for me, but probably for the fish as well. It's a little bit more sheltered from this breeze that is pushing across the lake today, and obviously it's a little bit warmer because it's got the sun on it. So I've had a little wander down there, and I've seen not a lot. I saw one fish jump, and I've seen a few very small swirls which might be signs of fish, but just based on feel alone, I think they're going to prefer it down that end. It just seems a little bit calmer and a little bit more comfortable. So yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm reeling in, I'm moving down there. What a hassle. Hope it's worth it. Well guys, this is the new location for what it's worth. You can see I've got the sun on my face, so feeling a little bit better already in terms of my chances. Hopefully it feels more comfortable for the fish here too than it did down where I was. See one or two swirls, which is very encouraging. I'm fishing both rods out pretty much straight out in front of me, although slightly off to the right hand side. What I'm doing is casting from the platform there to avoid this tree that's right above me, and then just walking the rods over to where the bank sticks are here. Reason being is I can't get the bank sticks onto the stand, well, not without damaging it anyway. So it's no hardship, just coming a few feet off to the left hand side and popping the rods there. I've cast both rigs out, and I've put a few pouch full of boilies over the top. I think I've done all that I can for now. Don't think I'll be moving again, so I'm going to settle in, finish that cup of coffee that I started earlier, and see what happens. Been here a little while now. The sun has almost disappeared behind the trees, and it's pretty still and pretty quiet out there. Haven't had a single bleep yet, and you won't believe this, just heard a fish crash out, and it sounded like a decent one too, a real splosh. And I walked down a little way, and it was right over where I was fishing where I first started. I guess it's found the bait that I put there, and it's having a whale of a time scoffing it all down. Now, I don't propose to keep chasing my tail and move back to where I started again. I've set up my stall here now. Still looks good, to be honest. I don't think one showing fish is going to change my mind at the moment. I guess if I keep hearing them crashing out down there, it might be a different story. But for now, I'm going to sit it out here and hope that one of these carp finds my bait. Hook bait. It's a lovely, peaceful evening now, though, I must say. Really nice now that machinery has stopped. And actually not as cold as I expected. It's just starting to get a bit chilly now, so I might put my big coat on soon. But it's wonderful to be out fishing again, that's for sure. Well, I'm still here. It's just 7:15. You might not be able to tell on the camera, but it's almost completely dark. I have had no bites. I have seen 1 or 2 swirls, which I'm guessing are signs of carp, but there are other species in here, so maybe not. And apart from that, everything is very, very still and very, very quiet. Certainly my bite alarms are quiet. Haven't heard a peep out of them. So I'm not giving up just yet. I'm going to stick it out for a while. I've got my head torch, so I can carry on fishing in the dark. I just really want to catch something. It's been a little while, and well, you know what it's like. You get that itch to go fishing, and if you haven't had a bend in the rod for a while, then it's really important that you catch one. So I'm not going to give up yet. I'm going to try and hold on until one of those alarms rips off, if the fish are in the mood to feed, which I'm not entirely sure they are. Normally with this lake, I would have expected to have had some action by now, even if it's just a bite or just perhaps one fish, but it's not living up to its reputation of being a bit of a runs water. But then it is the middle of October. The temperature has dipped considerably, and maybe they're just not in the mood to feed. I, however, am in the mood to feed. I've got here some spaghetti rings with pork sausages in a can. I bet this is going to be delicious. Well, maybe it'll be edible. I'm going to pop it in this little saucepan here. Well guys, probably not much to see here, but that's dinner tonight. I hope it tastes better than it looks. And actually, just as I finished cooking, I had it was either a real significant line bite, or it was actually a bite, which was an aborted take on my right hand rod. The bobbin settled back to pretty much where it was, so I think I'm going to take the decision to leave it in the hope that the rig has reset itself sufficiently well that it might have another chance. I do hope that wasn't my only chance. Certainly got my heart pounding anyway. Let's hope something comes of it. I'm going to eat this. Yum. Well guys, I'm sure you can tell it's not the same session, but it is the same lake, the same tactics, just on a different day. It's about a week since that session that I started filming for this video, where unfortunately nothing happened at all. The weather's changed completely. It's sunny and warm, and about an hour into my session I've been rewarded with this scrappy looking little common. It's not the prettiest fish I've ever seen, probably only 5 or 6 pounds I'd give myself for that one, but it's a fish on the bank and it means an awful lot. So I am chuffed to bits. I'm going to get this fish sorted and slip her back where she belongs, get that rod reset and see if I can't catch a bigger one. Absolutely brilliant. Well guys, the carp god certainly made me wait for it. It's been about another 2 or 3 hours since that first fish came my way, but now, after my patience, I've been rewarded with this, just under the magical 10 pound barrier, just under 10 pounds, but beautiful mirror carp. I'm absolutely made up with that. So pleased to have caught another one, and a nice one too. Caught from just to my right hand side. There's some marginal reeds, just fished up to those reeds. One of my snowman rigs that I would have shown you before, and that's the result. Fantastic. Well guys, thanks for joining me for these 2 short sessions on one of the smaller lakes on my club ticket. The first one was a complete bust, didn't catch anything. The second one today, using exactly the same tactics on exactly the same lake, and it resulted in the capture of 2 fish. That bigger mirror, I was really pleased with. So it's been brilliant to get out here again, brilliant to do a bit more angling. And as we sort of come into the middle of autumn now, the fishing, I suppose, is going to get a little bit harder as the weather cools off. So hopefully this couple of sessions just goes to show, if you do blank, it's not the end of the line. Try again, and you might just have better luck next time. Thanks so much for joining me guys, and hopefully I'll catch you again really soon.